So, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So, let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru, like we always do. I'm going to share my screen and we shall get started. Okay. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Radhe Radhe, a very warm welcome to all of you. Let's get started with our session. So we start with our soul soup segment, like always, and we're talking about the power of habits. So let's build on that. So good habits, they say they're hard to come by and easy to live with. Now talking about habits itself, the patterns of these habits are so strong that people they struggle to change them, and they often feel helpless while trying to change them as well. And it can pick up any cues, like for example, uh, what is a habit? Like, has anybody used excel at work? The macros, macros is something that you use to automate your work, something that you repeatedly do. Easy way to do is to create a macro, and then that macro will run in an Excel and then do that job for you. So habit is a little bit, not little bit, like a macro only. You basically give a cue to it. Basically, that is a stimulus, and then it will execute, and whatever it has been programmed to do. And that cue is something that could come in any form. Cue for habit, it can come in form of infinite varieties. Like for example, a picture of an ice cream could trigger a habit, or a certain place can trigger a habit, a certain time of the day, or a company of a particular person. The routines, it can be a mere emotion that can come for a milliseconds, or it can trigger off a complex sequence of behaviors, right? So and then you look at for some kind of a consequence or a reward out of it, which is an emotional payoff, a chemical gratification, a sensual pleasure, a mental stimulation, or a combination of any of these. Anything can happen. It can get triggered like that. Now, like I said, the good habits are hard to come and easy to live with. And on the other hand, we have bad habits which develop easily and are hard to live with. So if we are stuck with some kind of a vice, we know how difficult it is to leave. And they say the best way to uh, overcome a bad habit is not to make one to begin with. Okay, that's the best way. So often we start off thinking it is something innocuous that we are doing, and then before we realize, we fall into the trap of it. Which brings us to the third point, which says the reason bad habits get a grip on us is that the first few times we repeat a harmful behavior, it does not seem to do much damage. Have you seen anybody? I mean, if somebody would get, what do you call, the moment they have smoked the cigarette and they have lung cancer, would anybody smoke cigarette? Nobody would do that. The moment you drink alcohol, if you have liver cirrhosis, you think anybody would dare to touch alcohol in that case? Nobody would do that. People say a little bit is fine, man. Social drink and stuff. And this is how we start forming the habits. Or for that matter, anytime you have a laddu or a sweet, immediately you have diabetes. You think anybody would have that? No, because it seems innocuous and it does not have an immediate effect on us. It's like a slow poison which acts over time. But that's how the bad habits can exert its vice-like grip on you. This is how it starts basically. Now, one of the stories, Swamiji narrates an interesting story, is about the habit and how these habits own us. So he talks about a guy, a British explorer who goes and, he comes across a group of cannibals, and then he sees them. Cannibals, they feast on human flesh, right? And they were about to eat, and the tribal chief, out of them, he was a Cambridge University graduate. So then he was a little amused. He said, "You know what? You have received a good education and you still eat human flesh?" He asked him, and he said, "Yes, I do." So he said, "Did the education not make any difference at all in the way you look at it?" He said, "Yeah, it did make a difference. Previously, I used to eat with hands and now I eat with fork." So that is basically a funny way of understanding it. But this is how habits can actually exert their grip over us. Or that story of a miserly man who had spent his entire life, with the habit of saving money and protecting money, and being very saving expenditure and stuff like that, and being very miserly throughout his life. So when he was on his deathbed, people were surrounding him. Okay, and he started blabbering a word. He could not blabber at all, and and an entire family was around him, and they were thinking, now he's going to depart, and he started uttering a word, Bajha, Bajha. And people thought maybe now, the last words of a man who's dying are very important, like Ravan, for that matter, the kind of discourse he gave to Lakshman, or Bhishma for that matter. So they said this guy is going to tell something very important, because he's about to die. Maybe some secret, money somewhere is stashed. That's what he's going to talk about. So doctor said, we can make him speak, but you'll have to give a 50,000 injection for that. He said, yeah, sure. Even if it costs 1 lakh, give it to him. So they gave him an injection so that he could complete what he's saying. And he was saying, Bajha, Bajha. Basically, he was saying, Bahar, that bachda is eating the jhadu. So even at the time of death, his habit, his past tendencies came to haunt him. So he was worried that, the jhadu will get wasted if this bachda eats it, and he's not worried about this precarious state that he's in at this point. So anyways, those are some of the habits, sanskar, we build over time. Now, the good thing is, because our brain has a auto programming, we can actually dovetail it to our benefit. And that is what we are going to talk about. How do we build good habits, and what is the process to do that? So now let's move on to our shloka. We will talk about some of the practical tools around it. I'm going to recite it 3 hands, and then we get into the deeper discussion around the practical, because it's going to make up for an interesting discussion today. So we'll spend more time on it. इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः. Okay, let's take 3 hands and then we get started.
Okay, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Ihave Jita Sargo Yesham Samya Chitam Mana Nirdoshi Sama Brahma Tasmal Brahmani Te Sitata Stata. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Samji.
Tejasji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Ihaiva tairtita sargo yesham samyestitam manaha nirdosham hi sama brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha.
Very nice. Thank you, Tejas. Maybe one more hand.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you. Iham sarvo yesham samya stitaham manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha.
Very nice. Thank you,
you.
Prabhuji. Okay, all right, Riya ji, go ahead. Last one.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, dearly. Radhe Radhe. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying those whose minds are established in equality of vision conquer the cycle of birth and death in this very life. They possess the flawless qualities of God and are therefore seated in the absolute truth. So in order for us to possess the flawless qualities of God, we need to be established in equality of vision. And how do we reach that stage? What are some of the practical tools that we can practice is where we are going to spend time today. Yesterday we spoke about the rag and dvesh, the attachment and aversion, equanimity of mind. So we will build on some more tools today, and I look forward to some discussion and some examples around it from the participants. So let's get started. Now, bondage is caused by our own desires to enjoy the world. That's why we keep repeating births. So we want to enjoy the world. Okay, this is the fact. That is why we are here. Why are we here? Because we are not yet completely convinced that the real happiness does not lie in this material world. So every lifetime we go with, it's a combination. I mean, it's a, some of some fulfilled desires, some unfulfilled desires. And then that karmic baggage, of course, brings us back. We are not completely convinced that there was no happiness here. We always thought only if this thing would have happened, only if that thing would have happened. And God, like an indulgent father, says, all right, be my guest. Try to fulfill this desire as well and see if it makes you happy. And in the process, we keep on accruing more and more karma. So this game continues. See, it's like somebody was telling me, that was kind of an amusing remark. He said it's like venturing or getting into a horror movie and you don't want to get out of it, right? Because you're paid for it. So you're, even though you're scared, still you don't want to get out of it. So life is a little bit like that. We have signed up for it and we keep repeating here because despite all the slaps and the chupples that we get from Maya, we still think, you know what, the happiness was there only if this thing would have happened. Or I know somebody who's happy. You go ask that person, are you happy? Say, no, I'm not happy, but I know somebody who's happy. And this story continues. Okay, this hallucination or the false promise of happiness in Maya is keeps on getting created lifetimes after lifetime. And that is why we keep on taking birth as well. So unfulfilled desires, they lead to it, right? We always die with some list of unfulfilled. I wish this would have happened in this my life, right? Something would be there. If you're completely content, right, in your life, then you're already there, right? So that doesn't happen. In fact, that is one of the great virtues to have in Navada Bhakti also, where Lord Ram says that santosh, contentment in your life with whatever you have gotten is a great asset, virtue to have. That gives us more of divinely virtues if you have that contentment. So unfulfilled desires, okay, that leads to more births. You'll find a womb. God will give you a suitable womb based on your karma and how you have utilized your human life, whether back-to-back human life or not. And then this cycle continues to repeat. How? This results in bondage. Now you are taken birth, you will accrue more karma. And unless you are doing perfect karam yoga, you are going to accrue more bondage or binding karma around it. And then one day you finally go for a longer slumber, right? We sleep, but this one is a longer sleep, which is called death. And this cycle repeats. Okay, then again unfulfilled. Now what is happening here is based on this, then you get another womb, and that could be like if you have spent your human life more like eating. Only thing that you, when you wake up, is you think about, okay, what am I going to have for breakfast or what am I going to have for lunch? And eating is the sole goal of life. Some people are fascinated and food is there. They get the dopamine kick from food only. And eating is the, what is the next restaurant, next recipe, or, your focus is only that. Then gluttony could result in birth as a pig. That way you can continue to fulfill that desire. I think sole aim of pig is to keep on eating. And then if you excessive enjoyment of carne or meat could result in birth as a tiger, then you can enjoy a lot of meat, but you have to do it yourself. Okay, you'll not get it nicely dressed up, what you call that, cut for you in refrigerators or freezers. You have to go and do your own prey, and then you could be born as a tiger as well. There are stories in our scriptures also talking about us. There was a guy who was very fond of non-vegetarian food. Towards the end of his life, he had given it up. But what happened is when he was on its deathbed, all of a sudden his neighbor was cooking, and that aroma fell in his nostril, and immediately his mind went there. And then he had to come back as a lion or a tiger or something like that, right? So those kind of things can happen too. And then money, if that has been your sole aim, charity could result in rebirth in the material realm as demigod. Yeah. So in this case, it is more about charity, but that charity is given to, like people say, I will give it to Heart Foundation, I'll give it to hospital, I'll give it to this person, I'll give it to all that is fine. This is a good deed, not to dissuade anybody from doing charity. It is very noble virtue. But if it is well directed, but not perfectly directed, because at most you will accrue meritorious deed because of the sattvic nature, and that will lead to better existence, better existence temporarily in form of celestial abodes, which is Swarga or maybe Gandharv or something like that. Unless you are doing it with the spirit of serving God and not having a sense of doership, that is called a perfect Karam Yoga, you would still be rotating in this circle of life and death only. Because what will happen when you go to celestial abode, it is a temporary pleasure that you get, and when your time is over, you have to come back. It's like going on a vacation to Europe or somewhere. When your hotel stays over, they will ask you, time to vacate. Again, you have to come back to the cycle of life and death. So this is how the bondage and this cycle continues, and the baggage of bondage we have to carry lifetime after lifetime, unfulfilled desires. And desires we have seen, why do desires come? Yesterday we saw it comes from attachment. And attachment can have two manifestations. Positive attachment, we know. Negative attachment is called aversion, which is also called rag and dvesh. And that continues throughout our life. I like this, I don't like this, I want this, I don't want this. This is what I want to enjoy, this is what I want to avoid. So our scriptures, our Bhagavad Gita is telling us to rise above those. Be equanimous. Both are fleeting feelings, temporary feelings, which will pass with time. Feelings are feelings, right? Now, there's a guy, think of this guy. So what happens is he looks at a factory, he looks at a factory and it is burning. And he starts crying and wailing, oh my God, what happened to my factory? I had put in my money and sweat and time on this, and this is up in flames because it was burning. So he is in misery, complete misery, until his son comes and tells him, Father, forgot just a couple of days back we had sold this factory to this businessman. Oh, he said, now he's fine, he's happy. Thank God, we had already sold it, it's no longer mine. Now from misery, he has come back to happiness. But then he sensed, you know what? But then the check that he had given has bounced. Again, he's upset. But he said, you know what? But this guy is a man of honor. So don't worry, he's going to fulfill it. Again, he's back to neutral with a pinch of salt, that okay, whether he's going to give that. So just think how his emotions are fluctuating. Isn't it a fleeting feeling that he's encountering right now? He's wailing, and then all of a sudden he's happy, and again he's sad, and then again he's normal. So this is how the feelings go. So Krishna is telling us, don't give too much importance to your feelings. Just observe them, that Sakshi witness, and then tolerate them, knowing that these are fleeting and they will pass away. You're not stuck with the feeling forever. Just have the ability to tolerate it. Just be a witness to it. Don't start surfing it and start associating with those feelings and start defining your life synonymous with those feelings. Okay. That is not a spiritual maturity Krishna is talking about, right? So he said, when you do that, then you gain eligibility for divine grace, because now you are doing something. You are performing an austerity. You're going against the natural tendency of your mind, and you gain eligibility for God's grace. Okay, so this is the whole idea. Now, how do we detach? The problem is our mind gets attached, right? Attachment leads to that, attachment, positive attachment, negative. Rag, dvesh is the game that we need to rise above. Now let's talk about some of the practical tools how to detach our mind. How do we detach our mind? We spoke about the silver bullet yesterday. Think about God, detachment will automatically come. But let's talk about a little toned down or more practical tools. Because say, okay, thinking about God is a pretty remote, far off concept for me. Tell me something more realistic that I can practice on a day-to-day basis. So let's talk about those. So the first one let's talk about is pursue the knowledge of the scriptures. That is what we are doing right now here. When you increase the depth of your Vedic understanding, the Vedic knowledge, you'll have increased faith, devotion, love for God. So this is how it goes. When you increase your knowledge, the faith will increase. Okay. Increase of knowledge will result in increase of faith. This is how it works. We've seen in the world as well, when our knowledge increases about something, our faith also increases. You may say somebody walking past, just having a walk in your neighborhood, and you say, okay, whoever it is, you won't even care to say hello to him or hi to that person. And all of a sudden somebody tells you, you know what, he's a governor and a who's who has a lot of influence and power. So your knowledge about that person has increased. So your faith in his abilities has also increased, that he is not a Tom, Dick, and Harry, any regular person that you talk about. So all of a sudden, your faith in his ability has also increased. So knowledge leads to faith. And then when you exert faith, it leads to devotion as well. And when you practice devotion, it leads to love. And love leads to attachment to God. When attachment to God is increased, the detachment with world will happen automatically. And this is something which is said, knowledge leads to faith, leads to love, and love leads to surrender. Ramayana, it's a direct verse from Ramayana which says, Jane binu hoye na partiti, binu partiti na hoye priti. So knowledge leads to faith, faith leads to love, and then when we love somebody, surrender is a natural consequence of it as well. So this is how the process unfolds. How does it start? You start subscribing to the right kind of knowledge. This is true knowledge, pure knowledge. One kind of knowledge is that you are saying that, oh, right, okay, I'm going to rely on my senses, like scientists say, right? That could be imperfect, which is called pratyaksh praman. Very, very limited. It is in fact the lowest kind of proof anybody can get, because our senses are not perfect. And even in the world, we know that we cannot hear ultrasonic sounds. The principle of refraction would seem, make us look, even a stick will look like a bent stick when you put it in water, even though it is not. So your visual, these senses are imperfect. So that proof is not proper. Then you can get proofs from, testimony from people, what people are telling you, what your neighbor told you, what your friends are telling you, what Google is telling you, what your peers are telling you, what that self-help book is telling you. That is also not perfect knowledge. It is limited by people's experience, and which may not be perfect. So the real knowledge is from the scriptures, especially if you come in contact with the guru and they are able to translate the scriptures for you. There cannot be anything more purer than that you can subscribe to. So this is the first way which will help you detach your mind. How will it detach your mind? It will tell you your true nature. Who are you? Now, without knowing this knowledge, we will have no incentive whatsoever to even invest on ourselves, on our inner growth, trying to understand we are a soul, and our larger good, our long-term good is in improving ourselves. If we didn't have scriptural knowledge, why would we even do that? So knowledge is purifying when you subscribe to bona fide knowledge. So this is one way of detaching your mind. That excessive obsession that we have about world, it will not be challenged until scriptures tell us it is Maya. Something which seems to be but not true. The promise of happiness in this world is false. And then you will think, what, yeah, that's what scriptures are, what that saint told us is true based on the experience. Your experience would tell you that I've been seeking something, but it never, why does it happen? If you won't even get to that point of questioning that if you don't come across this knowledge. So whatever spark you have could remain a spark and not become a full blown fire or a conflagration if you don't come across the pure knowledge, which can take it to the next step. So this is one tool. Then the second tool is Accept that the material world is temporary. Of course, it will come from scriptural knowledge only. So these are corollaries from that. See, when we develop this mindset that everything that we possess, wealth, relatives, knowledge, etc., belongs to God and given to us as a gift to enhance our soul's journey towards God realization. So this is our world, right? This is me, the spouse, my family, my parents, and the friends, relatives, all that stuff. This is our world, basically, all inclusive, right? And we think they belong to me because of understanding us as a body, because they are logical extensions of our body only, the identity that we normally associate to. But just think for a moment, do we have a foolproof formula to maintain that? Forget about friends can change, but even then, when we talk about my family, my body, my parents, my spouse, my kid, and all that stuff, do they really belong to us? Can we really hold on to them? No, right? They can be snatched away in a moment. We see so many examples that happen in life. So when we exert no control whatsoever over any of this thing, and this material world, anitya, we consider it nitya. We live as if we are going to continue to live. And do we even remember who was our relative, parents, or people whom we get so attached to in our last life? We don't. And every lifetime we get, that because of our sanskars, we get attached to these same relations, different souls, same relations, in the same manner, with the same intensity, probably increased intensity, because if we have not challenged it with the proper perspective there, as a sense of duty, understanding, eventually they all belong to God. We are God's kids first before, enjoying these relationships with each other and on those kind of things. But the fact of the matter is, when we look at it as a trustee of all those people whom we have to take care of as opposed to owners of them, that will also help in building some detachment with this world. Problem happens when we start getting too hung up in this game and start thinking those as ours, and then start building those emotional connections, and then crying, and then becoming insecure and anxious and all that stuff. That has to be looked at it with perspective as well, with proper knowledge. This is the important thing, to understand that material world is temporary. When we close our eyes, it's our own journey. Nobody is going to accompany you. We looked at that example of a rocket as well. Nobody accompanies you. It's your own journey. And when the report card opens up in front of Chitraguptji, nothing will matter other than how much progress you have made in your spiritual journey. That is the only, in final analysis, that is the only thing that would count. Nothing else would count at that point. And all the drama that we have created around us, it would count for nothing at all at that point. Any spiritual gains that we have done, yes, that is the wealth we can carry forward. Like, see, when we go to the airport, they say baggage is not allowed, like liquid bottles are not allowed unless it is less than a few ounces, I believe. Similarly, when we go in an afterlife journey, no baggage is allowed, nothing, other than the spiritual gains or the merits that we have accrued in this particular life. That is the only thing that we can carry from this life. And of course, the baggage of our karma, that has to be taken along with us as well. Yes, Sandhya, you had some question?
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
So, like after knowing this, that only spiritual merits is what matters, wouldn't one want to just minimize, like go for a path which minimize your interaction with the world and just uh, enhance your spiritual merit gain, like your engagement in the spiritual realm? Like maybe more explicitly, wouldn't it encourage people to think of the path of karma sannyas more than anything else?
The Karam Sannyas, see, again, this is again, see, we have been put in this world for a reason, right? So now again, we are going back to Karam Sannyas and Karam Yoga discussion. Not
I
necessarily.
just wanted to ask, but yeah,
No,
we
but
don't
the
have to discuss it.
spiritualist, there are certain guidelines for a spiritualist. See, when you understand, see, Maharaj ji say we are all selfish. Okay, we are all selfish. That is how we are wired. But then we are not selfish in true sense, right? He said, "Joi swarat pahichan dhanya soi." So if we truly understand what is swa and we align it to the real swarth or the real selfishness, then the purpose is served. So a spiritualist, once they understand the bigger game or bigger purpose, then of course they become optimized in life. That doesn't mean you run away from the world. Again, Karam Yoga is the way to go. But yes, they minimize their unnecessary exposure. That has to be the mindset. Unnecessary exposure. It says if you keep on adding people in your life, each new person that you add in your life, like friends and all, it's like maintaining a factory. And the more excessive talking that you would do, the more likelihood that it will corrupt your mind, because you're likely to hear and say things which don't add much value. So saralta, namurta, and madhurta, they say, right? These three things: simplicity, humility, and sweetness. This is what we should talk. And so then, yeah, a spiritualist, as you keep on, it's a journey, right? You cannot turn off the screws all of a sudden. But yeah, when you start advancing in this path, you try to optimize your interactions and what you're adding, how much is needed for you to operate effectively, and then cut out the noise as much as possible. That is always the goal for a sincere seeker. Okay, so world is temporary. This has to be put it in a big thing in our refrigerator or wherever you want to look at for most part, or maybe in your office. No, not an office. I think if your boss will come, then he'll say this guy is probably not worth investing in anymore. But yeah, put it at place which good reminder to have. And anyway, our scriptures say, right, its world is a shashvatam and dukhalya. So this is another thing that you can use to increase your detachment from the world or and the mind. Feel grateful for divine graces and gifts from God. This is a great attitude to have. Even in the principle of surrender, it said, right, have gratitude. Now, when we recognize everything in this is temporary and could be taken away from us, we learn to value and feel grateful for what we possess. Everything becomes a bonus in life. The fact that we woke up itself is a bonus. The fact that we are able to take a shower, how many people can afford that? The fact that we can get clean water, the fact that we can roam on this earth doesn't complain, right? We are stomping over it throughout the day. The fact that we have an able body. So if there is, so this is like, if you are, let's say you are a rich person, is there anything for you to be grateful about? Of course you have, right? You can be grateful. You're not poor. If you're poor, is there anything you can be grateful about? Of course, that you're not sick. If you're sick, is there anything? Yeah, you're not physically challenged. If you're physically challenged, anything, you're not mentally deranged. If you're mentally deranged, is there anything to be happy about? Yeah, at least you're not dead, right? If you're dead, is there anything to happen? No. Only a dead man cannot be grateful for anything. Everybody else can find something to be grateful for. In fact, it's a good habit to put down in a journal 3 things that you're grateful for, and it is known to cure depression also. I think there are some clinical trials that have been carried out on people, and I think I'll get that statistic and also that particular instance where I think about 60 to 70% of the people, they were able to get out of their negativity or even the depression sentiments. Of course, some medicine was, they probably would be taking that along with them as well. I don't want doctors jumping on me for that. But yes, the simple act of having a grateful heart for things around you can help you do wonders, right? Even cure negative sentiments and get out of the mental rut that you might get stuck in. So this is again another way of not only developing a positive outlook in life, but also detach your mind, because then you look at everything as a, wow, it's like that thing was there, right? Swamiji talks about it. I love that part when somebody says, how are you doing? So better than I deserve to be. It's such a good way of looking at way, right? Of course, there are so many things to be grateful. There's no reason to be having a complaint mindset at all. So that mindset would also enable you to detach your mind, because then you look at the world from a different perspective altogether, not like, okay, I should have that, I should have this, and that kind of a thing. And there are 7, but I'm not going to get into all because maybe I'll leave the 3 for the next session. Then believe that difficulties are a blessing. This becomes the most challenging for people, right? We want to avoid difficulties. Okay, God, give me a peaceful sukh sampatti gharave kashta mite tanka, right? Our prayers, the conditioning that we have been given right from when we were born and stuff like that, difficulties have to be avoided, but that's not how it's meant to be. Now, intellects, these are difficulties are blessings in disguise for us to grow internally. In fact, when you make inner growth as a priority of your life, everything is an opportunity in that case, right? And it also look at it this way: if you are getting disappointed from people around you, Other way of looking at it is actually helping you develop detachment from the world. Dunya ka vastavik swaroop, the real face of the world is getting exposed. God has a good plan for you so that you don't get attached. If people are very lovey-dovey to you and everybody, then you'll get attached somewhere. If you're getting disappointment, I mean, good. That is how it's meant to be. You should only become ashrit on God, right? So, nirashrit. So, it's a good way. If you're getting disappointments, rather than saying, "Oh my God, I'm feeling it," it's okay. That it will not let you get attached in the world. So it's a good way of looking at it. Plus, this story that Swamiji always talks about, this struggle of a larva into pupa to actually growing wings, is enabled through the struggle that it does, right? So the fluid, only when it struggles through the pupa or larva, whatever, okay, pardon my biology, then it helps it develop those wings to take the flight to soar high. If you cut that struggle, it will never develop those wings at all. Plus, if you look at this, what do you see this? Oh my God, this is very dramatic, right? What you're seeing on your screen. But it is meant to be dramatic because what is the difference between coal and a diamond? A diamond is a coal which has been able to sustain pressure for an extreme pressure for an extended period of time. So if you want to remain, both are chemically same, carbon, but one is a diamond, that is coal. What enabled it to become a diamond? It could sustain that pressure for an extended period of time. Maharaj Ji also has a bhajan, अब और अधिक चमकेगा सोना, पुनी पुनी अग्नि तपाने को, and they say the hira becomes a kundan only when you put it in fire. So all that stuff, there's tons of example in nature or otherwise, right? So it is an opportunity to uplift, elevate, and purify yourself as opposed to say, hey, keep me away from trouble, right? So this is again a paradigm shift in our head based on the regular conditioning that we have, that we have to avoid miseries and trouble. In fact, that attitude to take it on um, holds us in good stead in from a spiritual standpoint. With that said, I'm going to take a quick pause. There are 3 more tools which we will discuss in our next session. I just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow we have a book launch here in Dallas. So you're welcome to join us. I think it's going to be virtual as well, I believe.
Yeah, it will be live broadcasted.
Yeah, and it's likely to spill over to our session, so we will be canceling tomorrow's session. We will be back on Thursday where we'll have a regular session. We'll conclude this discussion plus the spiritual cash up segment on Thursday. So just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow's session will be off. We meet again on Thursday evening, which is Friday morning in India. So with that, I'll take a quick pause to talk about, I see Nilesh ji has raised his hand. So let's have a bit of a discussion on some of the stuff we spoke about and get the participants involved as well. Yes, Nilesh ji.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji.
Radhe.
So Nitinji, here all the concepts, as we say, right, it's difficult to implement, right? As we say, हम जानते हैं पण मानते नहीं, and that's why this whole journey so it goes to your first slide or second slide, right, where it says unfulfilled desires and then the birth, and then you keep going. So how, any tips of how do we make it stick in our intellect? I think that's where at least I am doing the daily contemplation. I asked this question to Swamiji. He said, "Keep journaling, keep telling your mind." But it's like it's not there yet.
I know this journey of Janna to Manna, that is the whole thing, right? To Gyan to become Vigyan, that is the biggest bridge we have to cross over. And I think if the bad news is that you struggle, the good news is everybody struggles, okay? And we all struggle at different points. But the point here is that we have struggled with so many things in life, so we cannot lose hope and keep trying. Journaling, like Swamiji suggested, yes, let's do that. Plus, I think the good thing is that life, it can be used as a laboratory. It will give you tons of opportunity to practice these concepts, and you will see as you keep on practicing, it will keep on reinforcing your faith. So journal at that point. That will help you derive inspiration from next time similar kind of a situation would come. So life will keep on serving you lemons and keep on giving you tests, and then look out for those opportunities and see how best you can implement the knowledge. Then there is no other way other than revising it and then looking out for opportunities where you can implement it.
Yeah, even during the day it moves, right? Morning there's a different gunas, evening different. So yeah.
Then you say, yeah, I know what is happening now. At least you're not blindly participating in it. but
That's
you
an
are
improvement.
observing yourself. So that is a sign of progress, right? But the next step would be, okay, now I'm observing, I need to do something about it too, right? And then you will see, no, I fell down and I'm struggling to even do it because my natural tendency is over, but you still struggle through it. And then over time, you start becoming better. That's the only way. It's like we struggled when we were trying to walk. We struggled when we were trying to learn bicycle or swimming for that matter. I still don't know how to swim, right? I'm still struggling. But then we persevered and then sailed through it. And one day, now we can leave both the hands off the handle and still cycle around. That proficiency would come, but it will take time. It's meant to be a journey. But the good thing here is that we have the right knowledge, at least the right tools. Then we do understand how to implement those tools, right? The Sakshi Bhav and all that stuff that we spoke about. And then we do know that how to tap into God's grace. So when we have the right kind of an ecosystem, right kind of tools, then what is the limiting factor? Our effort only. So our effort has to be increased, and we have to see what works for us. If journaling helps you, implementing it or contemplating, whatever works, we have to find our own game plan in this one, and then not lose out on opportunity where you can implement some concept and say, "Ah, this was a learning moment." Yeah. Yes, Sandhya.
First of all, just to add to this discussion, like when the concepts don't sit, like we are not able to convince our intellect properly. One another thing that helps, like what Nitinji talked about yesterday, is like ask God for help, like cry out in front of them during your meditation. They will definitely help. Not maybe not sooner, but that is a patience that we need to practice. But that, I mean, many times we come across videos that we did not know existed, right? But that, I think, is not at all a coincidence. So those things are reflecting that he wants to help us more than we want to help ourselves. So that's one thing I wanted to add.
True.
uh,
True. Very true. When you're getting stuck and you are sincerely seeking, the God will open up the universe for you to get you that answer. I have experienced it. A lot of people would have experienced it. I talk to people who are on this path. It's always a fascinating discussion topic where now it's almost like I know. If you have been seeking somewhere, that answer would have come to you, right? Through a channel, through some person. Maybe you opened up the book or somewhere you start getting answers. And that is how this journey unfolds, which is pretty fascinating. Yeah, you're right. So I'm sure a lot of people would agree to that.
and there was a funny comment from Kumarji. I just quickly read it.
Mhm.
So he says, one of my previous managers made it a dukhalyam for me. And thanks to a Shashwatam, he's not my manager anymore.
I'm also thankful to one of my previous managers. Okay, I owe it to him, the fact that we are even doing this session here today. Yes, Rahul, go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Just wanted to add one more point. In all these Swamiji's books, even Maharajji also talks about the importance of Ekant Sadhana. And I think somewhere we lack in that. So we have to be super disciplined in doing that, apart from doing all the seva and everything. But that Ekant Sadhana is super important. I mean, things can be missed, but that should not be missed. And I'm pretty sure that will, I mean, we will see the effects in the long run. So yeah, that is
No,
what I
thank
wanted
you.
to add.
Thank you, Rahul, for saying that. And that is where, after doing this, we will again revise that silver bullet. The sadhana is like the best thing, the meditation part of it. It is 10 times, 100 times more powerful. See, the world is like you are going out and cutting woods. Sadhana is like sharpening the axe. Even 15 minutes of sadhana can set you up for the day. And of course, over time, we'll keep on getting better at it. But that solitude, that sadhana goes a long way in, not only deepening some of these concepts, but and increasing our ability to implement it as well, or draw upon that knowledge when you need it. Thank you for calling that out, Rahul.
And one more thing, for those of you who attended the retreat, Swamiji in all the yoga sessions also mentioned Prem Yoga, where Shwas Shwas se we have to take Radhe Krishna. So everywhere, if that is there, I know that is hard, but that is not impossible.
Yes, if we can fill the spaces in our day with God's name until it becomes our default setting. That default setting means no matter what you are doing, it's just reverberating inside you without even knowing it. That is the ideal state. Yes, PTG.
Yeah, so we were talking about the next life, and my Masi used to say that if you're very conjuice, like if you don't give anything in charity, you're just constantly being selfish, the next avatar you can get is a tree. So all you have to do is keep giving, giving, giving. You can't take anything from anybody, you just have to keep giving. So she said, if you want to become a tree, then don't give out in charity. That was her thing to
That's
me. So
brilliant.
just wanted to add that.
Thank you. In fact, let me thicken the plot by saying that what I heard was people who complain, right? I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. There's so many
Yeah,
people who say that. They also become tree. They have all the time.
they
Okay,
have
so
all the time.
there's some trees have thousands of years, right? All the time,
Uh,
just keep standing. So yeah,
right.
don't say I don't have time next time. Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, trees have all the time, right, to do. So we basically, the point here is to utilize human life wisely. And I lost the chain of my thought. I don't have time. Yeah, I think there's a English saying here that if you want to get some work done, give it to the busiest person because they'll always find time, right? We all have time. So it's all 24 hours for everybody. Okay, any more questions or anything anybody wanted to add? We still have time. I'm not saying we don't have time. We have time. Yes, Rahul.
Just wanted to add the latest book of Swamiji is already now available on Amazon India and Amazon USA
Okay.
at a special discount. So do check it out. The details are already there in the chat. And the 30-day spiritual secrets from Hindus challenge is also now online. I think 3 days have passed away, so you can check that out. And it is also available on Radha Krishna Bhakti app. So, yeah.
Yeah, so the book launch is happening tomorrow. The challenge is already there, I think, on a Bhakti app, which you can subscribe to. There are beautiful videos and then some interactive quiz questions and stuff like that. So do check it out. And then we have a formal book launch tomorrow. We'll have a Q&A with Swamiji, and you'll see some amazing panelists there. Couple of amazing panelists and one not so amazing panelist. So look out for that tomorrow. And look forward to seeing you at the temple if you are in or around Dallas. So just wanted to let you know about that as well. Yes, Kumarji.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hanuman.
Okay.
So just to elaborate on the topic of managers, I was just counting out, and then I said, out of the probably around 12 managers I have had trouble with 4 managers.
You have been a
and
manager's delight, I guess, in that case.
4 No, see, actually, what I have seen is when the manager gives me some kind of freedom, I have done much more work for them without even they asking for it. And they don't realize it, or probably even we don't realize it when we are managers.
But do you
So
have
give some.
unfulfilled desires from any of the managers?
What's that? Sorry?
Do you have any unfulfilled desires from any of the managers?
Not from them, though. At least I hope not. But anyway, so whenever I think of spirituality, like, am I doing enough? I get troubled because I'm not doing enough at all. I do great at certain things, but I need to do much more. When I contemplate, the reason why it is I don't know why I'm not able to get serious about spirituality. That, hey, this is the only thing which is important in my life, and I know that. That's the funny part. But somehow the Maya kind of overpowers me and kind of takes me elsewhere during the normal hours, and then at the end of the day, and I'm like, did I do enough spiritual work? I have not. So I think I need to. I think the priority, most of us don't give the enough priority. I still don't, and I just wanted to mention this so that it's like knocking myself, so that
I think you brought in a very good point. So Maharaji used to say the biggest impediment on the path of spirituality is laparwahi. Okay, the carelessness, and we all suffer from that. And that laparwahi or the carelessness leads to procrastination. You keep on delaying it. We have time, we have time. So that has been the main reason for our downfall lifetime after lifetime. Laparwahi, carelessness, हो जाएगा, देख लेंगे, चलता है, देखा जाएगा, or keep on post, we have time. So these are the two big enemies on this path. See, procrastination also, think about it, like right now, let's assume we have 100 years. Okay, 100 is a bit of a stretch. So whatever it is, even if we had, let's say, 1,000 years, someday we have to wake up and make a resolve that, okay, it is 990th year. Now I better do something about it, because that's a habit. That's a mindset that has to be broken. So it's not that if we had 1,000 years, we would have done better job at it. Still, we have to wake up one day and do that. So if we don't do it in less time, like maybe next lifetime, somewhere we have to make a resolve and break that habit, because this habit, this mindset is not going away anywhere. But glad you brought up that point. So yeah, that is one of the things that is responsible for our downfall lifetime after lifetime. Great. Thank you for bringing that for discussion. Yes, Ajit ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. As far as Kumarji's statement that managers has troubled him, I believe that is the boon for him, and that is how he is here in this satsang right now. Maya, we term as Maya for all the obstructions and difficulties facing. And as you started the session with our weaknesses, some bad habits sort of thing, we have to get rid of those things. And nowadays, in personal interview, they observe only all this thing: ethical part, moral part, values part, what values you carry. Even in IAS cadre interview, right now they are taking interview and all help for recruitment through AI and Chat GPT sort of thing. And now video resume is the order of the day to observe the behavioral science, behavioral, not only in the interview room, but
True.
outside the room as well.
Very true.
So behavior is very important. And if you compare spirituality and materialistic world, the quality of yourself
Mhm.
has to be improved. No other way.
Very true. Good
And
point.
as you say that how a dead person can be grateful, you should think that finally I have got the life, I got the birth in this world and had experience. So that is a lesson for the next life as well.
True. Beautiful point, Sajid ji.
I have got so many things, but with a time constraint, I will tell you later on. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Ajit ji, for your inputs. Yes, behavior is a very important thing. All the more reason for us to invest in spirituality, because that will fine tune or polish our behavior as well. When you start understanding the deeper, secrets about life, it will automatically spill over to your professional life as well. And I was reading a statistic that 87% or more than that people, they get fired from their company, not because of their technical skills, but because of their behavioral skills, their attitude skills. And people who are behaviorally competent, they end up doing really well in their professional lives as well. They'll pick up less conflicts, they're more flexible, they know how to navigate situations, even office politics for that matter. So that is a huge gain, which will directly, a tangible benefit you will start realizing in your professional life and personal life if you start investing in spiritual principles. So thank you, Ajit ji, for bringing that. In fact, so much so that certain companies' culture, they even take your behavioral test to see if you align to that and all, right? I was reading a case study in Southwest. One of the managers, he would, even after the interview, they would have somebody accompany them back to the car. Yeah, they have a very happy-go-lucky kind of a culture and a fun-loving culture and stuff like that. So they will see how they walk towards there. I mean, do they have a spring in their stride at all? Do they have that X factor, right? So people go to that extent to actually capture your behavior to see if you're a good fit in their company culture or not. So thank you for bringing that point as well. Let's move on to Tejas. You wanted to ask, and then we'll come to Keshavji as well.
Yeah, Radhe, I had a comment basically like, someone was asking, or we were all talking about the same thing. Like we have influx of Maya, and if we were meant to excel spiritually, why do we have Maya in the first place, right? I would like to think about it this way. Like, let's say I have to lift some weights. whenever you lift some weights, you're trying to lift that weight against the gravity, right? So gravity is the Maya, and when you're lifting it up, you're kind of toning your muscle. You're rather toning your spiritual muscle. Let's say if there was no weight, then you would have never got an opportunity to tone that muscle, right?
Very true.
So, I mean, this is how I would see it. Like, if someone is questioning why this influx of Maya, I mean, here the answer is. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got to work on your spiritual muscle. Like, so I just
And
wanted to bring this perspective. At least I had kind of thought about it that way. So just thought of sharing it.
no, that's the great way of looking at it, right? How will you build spiritual muscles if not for Maya in that case, right? Yeah. But yeah, technically speaking, God did not create Maya. Maya, Jeev, us, and God, they're all eternal entities. Nobody created anybody and nobody can destroy anybody. So yeah, anyways, let's move on to Pratusha. You wanted to say something?
Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe sir. Yeah, I wanted to say about like the example that I gave yesterday, where Tejasvi was saying that it was probably because I was talking about the attachment portion, that if a person is, you know, his father is on deathbed, so what he will choose, whether that or saving someone. So I also want to add one more point to it, which is attachment is actually directly proportional to selfishness. So the more attachments we have, the more selfish we will be. So an example here also is like a person who is a soldier. He does it all the time, right? He leaves everyone and he goes and does his duty. And even Arjuna has attachment. And he said, Krishna said, do karmyo, you know, not just, you know, your duty, but do it in that consciousness. So a practical tip on breaking attachment is, if you're doing your mundane things that you like, that's fine. But if there is a, you know, cusp in your life where your decision will affect people around you, then always choose how many people am I, you know, going to make happy because of my decision. And if it is, you know, overwhelmed, maybe two also, you know, then your decision is more probably selfish. Just you have to, you know, if you see that angle, then probably you will do more, you know, you will break the attachments to whatever you are having problems with. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pratisha. So yes, I think the first thing is, of course, having mindfulness and awareness around what is my secret stash. Everybody has some kind of a secret stash going. Um, could be to object, people, whatever the case may be. And then do something about it, however you can do that, because attachment is considered unholy, which is a very strong word for it, but yeah, it is considered unholy because it takes you further away from God and then takes you further and deeper into the world Maya, that there is happiness here. And that uh, is a result of our downfall lifetime after lifetime. So thank you for sharing that. Maybe, yes, Sandhya, you wanted to add, and then we'll get to Keshavji as well. You wanted to add something or read out anybody's comment?
I wanted to read out a question that
Okay.
has come from Aparnaji. It's a little long, so please bear with me.
You can start from the end.
Then we won't be able to understand.
Okay.
Okay. Is jealousy a reaction of possessiveness? I was burning with jealousy, and this came after so many months of being on spiritual path. I felt physically drained with headache, but I told myself two things. One is I will talk to my husband and explain why I'm jealous, and please take care so I am not facing the same. If he has to do this again, please make sure to deal with it in private and don't rub it in my face. The second is I convinced myself that I don't need to be jealous. The others are bringing so much to the business. Don't treat the partners, and I should be nice, and it would be great if I can be a positive partner to them and work with them directly one on one. I told myself that I don't have anything against these people. It's all about how my husband treats them, and I'm jealous of how much time they get from my husband. This would be a win-win for all. Not sure if the first solution of asking him not to talk in front of me is a good and correct solution.
I think you've reasoned it yourself itself, right? Jealousy comes from a mindset of scarcity, anyways, right? that either me or that, but your husband, or for that matter, anybody would do what they want to do, right? You can't impose your will on them. So I think you're trying to process it the right way, and it's your inner battle. So if you conquer it, you'll be the winner. And life throws you these kind of opportunities periodically, right? So look at it how you can take control of the situation from inside, as opposed to trying to fight a battle that you would lose anyways, because by force you can't make anybody do anything anyways, right? So it's just a matter of time before they will do anything. So it's better to process it in a way so that you become freed from that emotion, as opposed to trying to impose it on somebody, because what if next time it happens? How many times would you fight that, right? So it's better to take control of that. I think towards the end you've already started taking some remedial measures around it, which is how it's meant to be. And plus, jealousy is not a good emotion, right? Envy is could be one when you take inspiration from somebody who's ahead of you, but jealousy is like negative emotion, and then born out of the sense of scarcity. So that's something we need to do something about. But yeah, good you brought it up. Maybe it's a little more nuanced discussion. We can have it in one of our sessions. So let's move on. I see Rahul and then Keshav ji. Go ahead, Rahul.
Also, Aparna ji has raised hand, maybe to clarify what she, I don't know if,
Announcements.
okay.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, actually, thank you for such a good answer, Nitinji. Not that you don't, you always have a great answer. This was very, very helpful, and I already got the results of my actions, yesterday, when I took the second route, and I became a good partner, and it was such a good meeting, and everything worked out so well. So
Yeah, that's good.
I was falsely positioned, but it gave me such drained energy, and I wasted so much of time in that.
No, again, these are the opportunities life continues to throw at us, where we can exercise the knowledge that we are learning, and see, the feel good factor that you would get afterwards would reinforce that, these principles work. Plus, you enjoy that freedom for the rest of your life and for the rest of eternity, because
But
we
in
carry.
any case, should I express the first thought, or I haven't done that? Should I even do that, or it's not even worth it? It's
I
my
don't know.
battle.
We can talk through that depending upon what kind of relationship you have. You think if it's not going to lead into an argument or a fight or a trouble down the line, why not? I mean, talking it through does not hurt at all. If it's
Okay.
just, as long as you can take that emotion part of it, and then you can tell it, it's not that you're telling it with an expectation or something negative or bitter around it. Why not? I mean, talking it through is
Okay.
always good. It offloads the burden, and then you feel lighter anyways, right? So it really depends on what kind of rapport you have there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Panaji. Yes, Rahul?
Yeah, rather, there is a question in the chat, but no, I'm not sure if we have enough time, but I can still read
Yeah,
it.
so please put it in the feedback tracker. We will continue to have a discussion on Thursday. We will introduce 3 more tools plus the spiritual cash up segment. Again, wanted to announce that we're not having a session tomorrow. We have a book launch tomorrow. So please join us for that. Yes, Keshav ji, you wanted to say something real quick, and then we'll wrap up.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Yeah, we are in Manushya Loka. And Manushya, why? कर्मानु बंधिनी मनुष्य लोक है, हम कर्मों के बंधे हुए मनुष्य लोक में. And these managers, those who come along with us during our journey for making money, they are all Maya. And Kumarji and I sailing in the same boat. My manager in my not last, but once, anyway, company, medical device company, he accepted the lot is not up to the mark, not up to the standard. But I told him this needs to be rejected and I want to reject it, which I have already done. He said it's a lot of money. His comment, it's a lot of money. I decided that's it. Enough is enough. I quit the job. Why? Because that was the biggest hindrance in my spiritual progress. And I was not finding time, not only because of spiritual progress, but also bodily progress. For bodily, I could not find time to go to health club. Guess what? Healthy mind, healthy body. So to have mind healthy and the spiritual mind, I quit the job like 3-4 years ago. And where I am, only he knows.
Very
Purushottam Krishna. And we cannot control Maya, we cannot control managers. The only way is to surrender one and only one. Karmanu Sardharman Paritajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraj. Ahem Twam Sarpapebhyo Mokshi Shami Masita. No other goddess can give this freedom, moksha. Mukti, we have to find it. Moksha, he will give us. Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna.
Very nice, Keshav ji. I think after you left the job, that's where this term was coined, that people don't leave their company, they leave their managers. Okay, that's what it says as well, right? And talking
Yeah,
about
people don't leave company, they leave managers.
so very true. And for healthy body, you need to drink healthy milk. Okay, anyways, Preeti ji, last one, and then we'll wrap up our session.
So I just have a very quick thought that I saw, that accepting the situation or a person. So if you don't accept somebody's progress, then it becomes a jealousy. But when you accept it, it becomes inspiration. So acceptance is the biggest thing in our mind, that like, we admire people who do so much better than us. When you accept them, like, wow, that person did so well and I'm so proud of him and I can take inspiration from him. But when your mind doesn't accept that, that's when it turns into jealousy. So I just wanted to share that, the
Thank you.
little acceptance thing is a big deal.
Yeah, it's better to join them and not think that the size of the pizza has shrunk if somebody has done better, right? The size of the pizza is always increasing. So that scarcity mindset leads to jealousy, plus it's a negative emotion. And when you subscribe to negative emotion, it will bring its other friends also, negative friends also. This is how it works. So we should refrain from that as best as possible. And it's good that Aparnaji, you were able to process it and you're doing it the right way. So great. I think we run out of time. It's late. Maybe chanting may not be able to. Yes, Keshavji, real quick, maybe a minute.
Only 30 seconds. I quit the job, not only wrote to the HR department, but marked the copies to the CEO, technical director, and production director. And I cited the reason where the problem was there. I gave the photocopies of all those proofs. Radhe Radhe, Jai Shri Krishna.
We call it in today's world as a whistleblower act. Okay. If in those times they had that policy, you would have enjoyed immunity. Okay, even from firing at that point. But yeah, good. At least did something about it. And I think most of us need more of leaders than managers. They say manager is one who does things right, and leaders are the one who do the right things. Subtle difference, but makes a lot of difference. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to say something?
Just a quick comment from Ajit ji. The dead person is grateful that he didn't die in the womb of the mother before taking birth.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one to think about. Yeah, as long as the dead person can think. Great. Okay, so thank you everybody for your engaging participation. Again, a reminder, tomorrow's class is off. We will meet again Thursday evening, Friday morning to continue with this discussion and our spiritual cash-up segment as well. So Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Please fill out the feedback tracker if you have any more questions that you want to bring to the session. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.